What's up, y'all? Welcome back. I'm in the middle of this wild fight. Let's get right into it. Book 5, Chapter 14, Grundle. The doors exploded from the force of Grundle's shoulder. He hit the railing at about Mach 2. He knew what was about to happen, but he wasn't looking forward to it. Portillion had drawn his wand and was clutching Therese, half lifted, onto the glass and iron balcony rail. The engines of the Horus roared just out of sight, a wall of steam jetting into view, blotting out the brilliantly setting sun. He shut his eyes against the brightness and took them in his enormous arms. Then they were flying. Portillion cast his spell again, the one that reverses gravity, and they were gliding through the air like a pair of flying squirrels clutched by a bear. Therese screamed holy hell, not knowing what was happening. Portillion and Grundle, on the other hand, just thought about what was supposed to happen next. That was a weird read. Portillion and Grundle, on the other hand, just thought about what was supposed to happen next. The Horus hung in the air below them, wrapped in weaving multicolored shields. The ramp pointed out and a bit up, waiting for their arrival. Joss was in a set of bright blue armor, gripping a safety strap and holding out his hand. His visor was down, but Grundle knew he'd be frowning. The old bastard was screaming for them to keep going. Funny, Grundle thought. I don't think we could stop if we wanted to. The shields dropped just long enough for them to make contact. They smacked into the upraised ramp and went tumbling into the hold. The ship shook as a few shots came up from the street. The shields held, but they might not forever. Ramsdell reached over to slam the emergency lockdown button. Grundle stayed his hand. Jordan's still up there. Ramsdell stared. Then he threw up his visor. Then help me with the goddamn cable, then. He handed Grundle the hook and went over to throw the winch lock. Joran hit the railing like a skier coming off a chairlift. As he flew through the air, Grundle could see him mouthing the words, "Oh, fuck!" This was one crazy plan. Thank the goddess, it was almost over. Maybe I should say, thank the goddess, it was almost over. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Chapter 15. Captain, we're in position. Numerius was frantic. Oh, I should do that frantically. Captain, we're in position. Numerius was frantic. They were taking heavy fire from the side street next to the tower. The shields were losing power, but for the moment they were holding. The pitching and yawing was making him sick, which was actually a new experience for him. The captain was still at the vid screen, studying the heads-up display, tracking the movements of the heroes. They'd synced up their devices to the nav computer so they'd be ready to go, so that when they jumped, the Horus would be there to snatch them. The captain held his breath as Grundle made the leap. Numerius held his hand on the joystick, ready to roll to port if necessary. Portillion's spell worked perfectly, so the ramp ended up being just where it needed to be. Hot dog! Way to go, kid! Once Joran was airborne, Numerius banked hard to starboard to give the winch cable more tension, then dipped downward to reduce some of the centripetal force at the end of the line. If he timed it right, Joran might be able to grip the thing without ripping all his skin off. The captain stared at the image on the vid screen, clenching and unclenching his fists. Numerius gave the captain a smile. "You got this, Captain. Just one more little task and we're out of here." The captain quickly shot Nim a look. His frown broke into a smile and he hooted like an old-timey prospector. "By the goddess, Numerius, I think we're going to make it." Numerius sighed. If they pulled this off, they'd be legends. Of course, if they screwed up, everyone could find themselves dead, which wouldn't be quite as legendary. "Come on, Nim. You got this. Come on, Nim. You got this." He's talking to himself, so I want to differentiate him from San Demon's weird cackle. I've got a song from The Wizard of Oz stuck in my head, and I just realized that like there's a bit of Oz in this one, although they're in their own fortress and not the wicked witches. Chapter 16. Aeana. Aeana was running full tilt toward the exit. The other members of the group had turned to fight back against the gunmen. The priests were launching spells, summoning spiritual monsters, giant snakes, weird four-armed humanoids, tearing up cars and melting down weapons. The guardians were blocking bullets, muffling grenade blasts, firing concussive rounds to push back the enemy. They were winning, but there was no way of knowing how many more Shadowin were coming on their heels. Aeana chucked her hammer at the emergency exit door, sending it erupting out into the short stellway, into the short stel, sending it erupting out into the short stel, motherfucker, sending it erupting out into the short stairwell beyond. She giggled uncontrollably as the smart. What the fuck is happening? I'm too excited. She giggled uncontrollably as the smoke started to clear. It was still light outside, the shadows deep and covering everything at the base of the stairs. The halogens were weak, too white, almost annoying in their uselessness. The smoke was just dust, really. The smack of bullets hitting her shield and ricocheting into the concrete around her broke her reverie. I'll read that one again. The smack of bullets hitting her shield and ricocheting into the concrete around her broke her reverie. She turned halfway around and drew her hammer back, its ordinary steel having been converted into a glowing orange magical fire that wouldn't hurt her but could hurt her enemies. She marveled at her companions' movements and powers, the way their enemies shot so many bullets to no avail. She suddenly found herself contemplating how insanely bloody and ruthless gunfights were. The sounds rang out in her mind. She'd been in something like this before. She remembered the explosion on Antares, heard the cries of the dying and terrified citizens, saw the great mob as they surged to face the assassins with impossible pride. It was the children who still haunted her. Little boys and girls, those that were dying and those whose loved ones were dying or dead. She remembered a boy tugging pointlessly at the lifeless corpse of his twin brother. She'd met their mother in the clinic just a few days before. Sheila, Ayanna thought it was. She'd been worried one of her sons might have the croup. The good doctor had prescribed a bottle of cough medicine. She'd also given the young woman a packet of condoms. They'd shared a knowing look. Goddess, she'd been so happy to help the poor woman and her beautiful boys. Ayanna remembered how it had been there. She hated the poverty, couldn't stand the politics, but at the end of the day, she was helping people. After a long shift, she found it was the people who made her feel better. Their faces were kind to her. She loved them. To them, she mattered. She was looked up to. She was respected. The people of Antares had needed a champion. They needed someone who would fight, someone who would go to the wall for them, someone who would stand up and fight for what matters, because, damn it, she wasn't going to let those motherfuckers hurt her people without a fight. And she mattered. She was someone important to somebody. She was someone who had changed everything for one child. And what was she doing now? Fighting for every goddess damned motherfucker in the galaxy. Why? Not because I'm special. It's because I'm the one who's doing it. I'm the one driving these poor people to their very possible death. So damn it, I'm going to make something great come from it. I have the goddess in me. I'm not afraid to stand up and take whatever these sons of bitches throw at us. I got myself into this stupid mess, and if I don't do it right, why do it at all? She screamed, "Get down!" and unleashed a holy goddamn ray of pure death energy. Fire and brimstone with a side of cosmic destruction. Every motherfucker for 100 yards behind the heroes was not just dead, but non-existent. Concrete ripped to pieces, pillars scrubbed down to the rebar, disintegrated cars and bicycles, guns half in and out of the blast area, displaying their inner workings, shells spilling out of open clips. A few Shadowin were also half in and half out of the blast zone. The half out parts didn't stay vertical for too long. There was a disgusting splosh as the still living remains tumbled into the debris. How the hell did I do that? Her companions cheered and beat their weapons against their shields. A few shots came out of the distance, and the cheering stopped. Other pillars were popping off their concrete skins, and the whole thing seemed like it was about to come down. Ayanna looked at everyone, nodded, and they turned and ran for the door. She slapped them on the arms and backs as they passed by. Victory. Can it be possible? Oh, fuck. Wait, let me do that a little more chill. Ah, fuck. She heard the Afridi priest say as he reached the street. Ayanna's heart jumped right back into her throat. Will this never end? Man, did you hear me getting emotional there? It always moves me when people, heroes think about, like, caring for the people, for the poor, like, fighting for rights and shit. That just destroys me. Chapter 17, Faylene. The rest of the cleanup crew was behind her down the stairs, looking for stragglers. She slowly inched her way to the top floor, popping up, then down, looking for the others. Once she reached the top floor, she marveled at the destruction. Across the way, smoke was billowing out of an apartment. It was a fire, so she wouldn't be able to stay too long. She strolled into the penthouse, confident that the action was over. Her display showed one life sign, a prone shape immobilized and barely moving. She smiled at the shattered glass. These guys sure knew how to make an exit. She shouted, "Great lady! Hawk squad in position!" A moan came from the office. Faylene shuffled over, tapping the side of her weapon nervously. As she came around the corner, she prepared to fire. The gray lady was fucked up. She was twisted in a weird curly Q shape, her right arm stuck with three egg-shaped vials and a strand of electrified goo around her ankles. Faylene chuckled at Maki's sorry state. The woman's eyes shook violently, as if trying desperately to escape her paralyzed face. Faylene stepped on the zone catcher and scrunched it with her heel. The electrical charge ceased, making the tentacles stop moving and lose tension, slumping to the floor. Faylene leaned down over Maki's face as if listening for her breath. Her smile was clown-like in its twisted glee. "I guess you're not so good after all. Maybe next time you should bring a few heroes of your own." Faylene shouldered her submachine gun and drew out a curved knife with a nasty serrated edge. Dried blood caked the spines. She really should remember to clean the thing after doing dirty work. She saw through this. She sawed through the strap holding Maki's newest acquisition. Black leather, thick, but not thick enough. Faylene kicked Maki over onto her side just a bit and gave the sheath a yank. She laughed as it came free. "Hello, lovely. What have we here?" Faylene stood up, held the sheath up to the fading light, and drew the blade. As the nearby flames reflected off its brilliant surface, she noticed something on her cheek. She wiped it away, then checked her hair. "Not bad. I bet you could slice somebody's skin real easy, eh, babe?" The knife glinted in response. Faylene leaned down and tilted it to reflect Maki's frightened eyes back at her. Faylene leaned down and tilted the blade to reflect Maki's frightened eyes back at her. Faylene grabbed Maki's wallet from inside her shirt and stood back up. "Well, sweetheart, gotta go." As she walked out, she dropped a smoke grenade. "Let 'em try and find me. Assholes." Maki went to so much fucking work to get that thing, and Faylene just yoink, insult to injury. totally fucked. Mm. What I really like is that, the fight is still going downstairs, but it seems to be done upstairs. So, like, it's like different theaters in a war. It's kind of fun. Alright, I guess I'll stop the recording. Check me out next time. The fight's not over, baby!